Hello. Over the last day or so, I was looking at a bug in SNK's Mechanized Attack. It's one I mentioned on the previous stream, and I thought it was about time I actually got around to fixing it. Well, investigating it and seeing if I could fix it. And in the end, I have managed to fix it. Now, I'm going to coin up the game now and play for a little bit. The bug actually starts to appear around level 3, so it's going to take a little time to get there, and I don't have any save states handy, so bear with me. I'm not going to be playing this very well, so this is probably mostly credit feeding through the game. Hey Mitchell, how you doing? Good to see you. How are things there? As I said, don't expect any good play here. This is purely a case of let me get to the point in the game where the issue occurs, or did occur. Because this build, all going well, is the fixed version. Now, as you can see, this is a your classic sort of light gun. Well, not really a real light gun game, I think. Or is it light gun game? I don't know. This one might be a real light gun game. Just flash the screen. I know Beast Busters. I think Beast Busters was analog sticks. This might be real guns. This one. But don't quote me on that. Some of these are deceptive. Now, I have also adjusted the sound balance a little bit. Yeah, it might be AD stick. I'm pretty sure Beast Busters is AD stick, but it does flash the screen, but that might just be an artificial effect because they wanted to do it. Now, say this is an SNK game. It's from 1989. I did adjust the sound balance a little bit because before the helicopters and everything were far too loud. I don't have any original references with high quality, direct from PCB output to compare the sound, so I don't know how correct it is now, but it's no longer overpowering everything with the helicopters, at least not as much as it was. They're still quite loud compared to other things, but it's somewhat realistic, as a potential sound balance now, I would say. Anyway, so here we go. I don't think there are any notable priority issues on this level that were fixed, because it's a case of certain sprites going behind one of the background layers, and I will get to it later. And hey main fan, how are you doing anyway? Thank you for joining. This is probably only going to be a brief stream because it's it's almost 11 PM here at the moment. I thought, we are actually running out of March. There's not another proper weekend left in March for any more M streams, and this is definitely an M related fix, so I better get a move on and cover it. The cabinet can be deceptive. I mean, it can be mounted, but also a real light gun. I know that the hookup code is very different between Beast Busters and this one, but who knows? I can't tell you for sure. I don't have the hardware. One thing about this game, it's got these sort of this reminds me of the enemy has spotted you scenes in Operation Wolf. Although I don't think these are random. I think these happen every time. So level 2 coming up. Now again, I don't think this level uses any priority tricks. In fact, I don't think this level actually uses one of the background layers at all. I think it was completely unused on this level. Now, Beast Busters is similar but not identical hardware. And one of the things I did do is split the driver in two. So they're no longer using the same driver because there are just about enough differences to, want to keep them as separate drivers. So I've done that. I've changed that over. Given them a little switch, split, and makes it a bit tidier, I'd say. But Beast Busters did give some hints as to what was wrong with this game, because the Beast Busters priority bug was fixed a couple of years ago, but the fix didn't work quite the same for Mechanized Attack. It was actually applied to a different set of sprites. Mechanized Attack has only one sprite chip, whereas Beast Busters has two. That's kind of important. It depends how people hooked up the controls. I mean, there are some things that are hooked up as the wrong control types in MAME and always have been. I mean, what does this actually say in tab controls? This says light gun, but so maybe it is a real light gun. Usually the giveaway is if it flashes the screen, because an actual light gun needs the screen to flash to pick up the shots in most cases. But sometimes I think developers might have just gone, oh, it's a gun game, it's meant to flash. Or they want to give the impression it's a gun game, but this might be a real one actually. But, somebody with the PCB or cabinet would be able to tell you for sure. I can only tell you things from the emulation perspective. And the gun code's not really something I've looked at with this. I think maybe the shot volume could still go down a little bit, couldn't it? But again, without a real reference to the hardware, I really don't know what the volume balance should be. I'm dead again. Right. So yeah, it's not a bad game this actually. I mean, SNK didn't do that many gun games, as I've said before. It's something the Neo Geo never really had, because the Neo Geo was always standard controls aside from irritating maze, which was custom BIOS. And Pop and Bounce could also use an analog stick, but a spinner even, not analog stick. What am I saying? But again, the Pop and Bounce spinner was mostly for the home system, I think, not the arcade, even though you could use it for the arcade. You could customise it. But yeah, it was primarily for the home system, I believe. Hey Christian, how you doing? Thank you for joining. I hope you enjoy what I'm showing. About to show anyway, I'm focusing at the start on this bug fix for Mechanized Attack. Now, if you tuned into the last stream, didn't you? So you probably saw me play Mechanized Attack then. Where as mentioned, I really need to go and look at this bug. It's sort of been on my to-do list for probably a year and a half. I know I mentioned it to another dev at least a year ago, and said I'd look at it, and then never really got around to it. But I thought, what? No better time than now. Unfortunately, it will miss the next release because timing wasn't great. I didn't quite get it in on time. But the live streams tend to be very much unplanned. It's just whenever I feel like doing something and have something to show off. But yeah, it's only going to be a short stream. I'm not planning on doing a full 3-hour one this time because, like I've said, it's 11 PM here, and I don't really want to be on here until say 2 AM or whatever. Yeah, this is I put pictures of the fix on Twitter. So if you've seen the Twitter, you'll have seen the fix. I wanted to show it in action because I know not everybody's on Twitter, and people sometimes will just sit and watch these videos. But towards the end of this stage is the first place you can see the evidence of the bug fix. So I will probably, I'm going to save state now. Probably a little bit early actually, but yeah, I'll make another save state in a moment. That was a little premature, but this is the underground hangar coming up now. So now this is where the first, yeah, okay, it probably isn't a proper optical gun then. That makes sense. No, again, I'll save state. Right, when these planes appear, I'm single stepping here. You can see that they're appearing from behind this part in the fore. You see the foreground part? The planes are behind it. Before they weren't. Now, if we look at the layer viewer, you'll see this part here, right here. This is part of this layer. This is all left over from the previous stages. But let's zoom in. This is your floor. Now, this is on a separate tile map to the background. See, this is your background tile map, and that's your floor. So they're destroying both the tile maps, but some of the sprites need to go behind this. And before, all the sprites were going above both tile maps. Now, some sprite, depending on the sprite palette selected, the last 4 colours of the palette The last 4 colours, you know, you can choose between a number of different palettes for the sprite. The last 4 you can choose have a different priority than the rest of them, and that's what's being done here. Those planes have got those palettes, and so they're meant to appear behind that other tile map. And Beast Buster's does the same for the elevator stage, but on the other sprite chip. So now they are appearing correctly, and you can see them rise above there. So you know that's the first place you can see the evidence of the bug fix. And as far as I know, it's always been broken in MAME. So once this goes in, it won't make the next release, but once it goes in, so 231 end of next month, it'll be the first time I think that's actually been correct in MAME, because I can't find a version where it is correct. I've looked up videos on YouTube from even like 10 years ago, and they've all got the same bug. So that is the first place you can see that bug fixed. Yeah, can't shoot you. So there we get another emergency sort of interlude cutscene type level. Yeah, these are decent games, and it's one of the few times before Neo Geo where SNK used a zoom-capable sprite chip. It does have some similarities with the Neo Geo zooming, in that there are clear lookup tables for the how it scales it, which pixels to include, which pixels to drop when zooming. I noticed it a while ago. I thought it looked a bit strange that the planes were just appearing over. Now the important thing with this stage is those minecart type things in the background. Well, yeah, minecarts those. Now, hopefully I don't actually destroy too many of them, because I might need them for later. But they are also being drawn with the lower priority, and that becomes important shortly. I'll try not to die too much. I mean, I'm sure there are lots of bugs lurking in MAME that are quite easy fixes. I mean, this one was potentially an easier fix than I made it, because I decided to do a lot of refactoring of the driver at the same time, bring it a little bit more up to date. Although there's still quite a nasty hack for a different sprite issue in the driver that I need to look at some point, but it doesn't seem to break anything. It's just ugly in terms of code. I do like the way in this, as you shoot the people, they do turn into the robots. That's a nice touch. Now this car here, this train car, is a tile map. So if I bring up the tile map viewer, that's the background tile map. The car is somewhere, I think. Let's see now. There we go. The train car is on the tile map there. There you go. So there's your train car on the tile map. So keep that in mind. It's very similar to the last case where the tile map layer goes above some of the sprites, and you'll see that shortly. You see that car just pass by there, behind it. Might do it again if we're lucky. We're not going to be lucky. There we go. You see now that the car in the background is behind the train carriage in the foreground, and before those cars were being drawn over the top of it, so it was clearly incorrect priority. You know, it looked really strange because what's obviously meant to be behind something was appearing in front of it. But with the fix I put in, that now renders correctly too. Now those are the only 2 cases I'm aware of in the game where the priority matters, where it makes a difference. There could be others that I'm not aware of, but you know, this layer doesn't actually get used that often. I mean, you can see it's still got leftover sprites from other levels on it. It's that infrequently used. It's just used for the odd element in different scenes. The last level also uses it, but I don't know if it's using it for any real masking purposes or just to move around a bigger sprite more quickly by, you know, tricking it and doing a trick and using a tile map instead of a sprite. But yeah, so this is the bug fix to Mechanized Attack anyway. It's not the longest game in the world. Obviously I've used quite a lot of credits to get here, but that's because I'm just casually playing it, and I'm fairly sure if you're playing it properly you'd not die quite as often as I am. But it's a decent game, it's a good game, lots of well drawn art, I think. In fact, I think it's higher quality than some of the earlier Neo Geo games, if I'm honest. SNK did have some good games before the Neo Geo. Prisoner of War, for example, is a nice little game, isn't it? Prehistoric Arrow, the original, far better than the sequel. I'll probably look at those on a future stream. But, big chunky explosions too. I mean, they're not Metal Slug explosions, but they're well drawn explosions. I think this is actually an underrated game. It's got a, to me, it's got a more metallic army robot feel than, say, Operation Wolf. I mean, that's what it's going for, isn't it? I can find the grasshopper on the centipede. That sounds like something I'd read in a fortune cookie. Anyway, anyway, there you go. This is this was this game. Now, I will point out one other thing with this game, and that is one of the clones is quite interesting. Not really to play, but this US version single player. I've actually, one change I did make is to remove the second light gun and stuff in this because for some reason it was still available. But yeah, this is a strictly one player version of the game. So I guess it was for a cabinet that only had like one player support. Because if you scroll through, you see it's got SNK there and the actual ammo and everything in the middle. And you've got the score and high score there rather than player 1, player 2. This isn't a new edition, this has been in MAME for a while now. Wasn't always there, but it's been there for a while. But you can see the HUD is slightly different because this one is designed just for the one player. So I guess it was a cheaper cabinet, maybe. I really don't know. I mean, it kind of reminds me of those single player versions of Operation Wolf and Operation Thunderbolt. But they were for Japanese supermarkets or something, you know, mini cabinets for kids, and then they had a single player. But this was apparently a US version. So I don't know, it's just one of those interesting little bits of trivia. Yeah, that was clearly heavily influenced by Operation Wolf, wasn't it? I mean, you can't really deny that. But it still plays well, it holds up well, and you know, I quite enjoy it. But yeah, that was the sort of the main reason for doing the stream. And so 20 minutes in, that's not bad. So I'm just going to look at some random other games to kill maybe another hour or so. I don't know which games to look at though. Actually, I'm going to go with Mouja, I think. Now, Mouja by Etona in 1996. This is very, very similar to a Neo Geo game you might be more familiar with. Yeah, I mean, those light gun games, again, the cabinet was part of the appeal, wasn't it? I mean, same with the games with the big steering wheels on and everything. They were they gave you that impression there was something you couldn't really get at home, something chunky. But this is Etona, and they've done this game. I can't remember if I played this before on stream. Yawning cat. Anyway, let's coin it up. I don't know, it's in Japanese. That'll do. But yeah, if you've played Money Puzzle Exchanger on the Neo Geo, you'll see this is very much the same idea. You've got to put the coins next to each other to add up to amounts that you can get on other coins. So if you get 5 ones, they'll turn into a 5. If you get 5, if you get 2 of those 50s, they turn into 100. If you get 500s, they turn into a 500. So it's not a case of always matching 3, which is sort of what confuses people with this one a little bit. So they say those matchings that way. You've got to know what the valid currency values are really to play them, and that is sort of the twist in terms of chaining these. I say Money Puzzle Exchange does exactly the same thing. Unfortunately, to me it means there's too much thinking involved when you're trying to just play the game, but that might just be me and not playing things properly when I'm tired. And there you go. So, yeah, and like I say, if you played Money Puzzle Exchanger, you'll know how it works. In fact, I don't have to be in a row, do they? They just have to be together. So yeah, they don't even have to be in a row, they just have to be together. So that, yeah, I forgot to mention that. In fact, I forgot that, if we're quite honest. This also gets quite fast quite quickly. I won without really being very good at the game. Yeah, it's that type of puzzle drop game, but the specific gameplay mechanic here is the same as the one in Money Puzzle Exchanger, which I'll put on shortly actually, because it's another M game. But I know these aren't always the most thrilling things to stream, unfortunately, as much as I enjoy puzzle games. I have to admit, most people just kind of don't get them. I don't know if the genre's just been destroyed by sort of mobile industry and all the, you know, pay-to-win games, and puzzle games just now have a terrible reputation. It's a shame, because I've done a puzzle stream or two in as other streams, because I just really enjoy seeing the different gameplay mechanics. The AI in this does seem especially stupid, though. I've not even been trying to win this, and I've been winning it. Yeah, Puzzle Fighter. I mean, the thing I don't like about Puzzle Fighter is it's got a really bad frame rate. It feels really roughly programmed. It's a decent game, but the controls are quite laggy and not as smooth and responsive as you'd really want in a puzzle game, which surprises me for, you know, a big name Capcom CPS title. Obviously, it's still got a huge number of fans. People love the game. Loved it on the PlayStation 2, even though it was a 2D game. It's one, you know, it's one of those that sort of proved that you could have done 2D games and had them be more popular on the PlayStation. But anyway, you get the idea. Anyway, I'm not going to play that one for too long. I will show the MI exchange. So it's very, very similar to this one. In fact, you'd probably say it's practically the same game. Puzzle Fighter for the browser. Doesn't surprise me, really. I mean, I wonder how many of those browser games are going to be preserved. This one, you see, is by Face. Yeah, Face did some good stuff, but not much. But, you know, it's basically the same game, but with different presentation. I don't know if there's a connection. I don't know if Face were involved in the other game of the, or what. But the games are too similar for it to sort of be coincidence. I've not researched the story, but nice intro anyway. I mean, it's animated intro as you got quite a few Neo Geo games. Money Puzzle Exchanger, 1997. So this one came later, actually. This did come after the Mouja. But this is well, as you can see, this has a slightly different gameplay in the sense that it's more like Magical Drop, but it's still matching the coin values. So you see, you match those, you get the 50. You match. So it might have swapped how the game plays to be sort of Magical Drop style, but it's clearly still the same basic mechanic of 250s become 100, you know, 5s become 10s. So I don't think they can have been made without knowing about each other. You know, I think Face must have known about Mouja, or there must have been some of the same devs involved, or something, but I've never really looked into it. I just know that when I play one, I immediately think of the other because it's this coin matching mechanic. They might have switched the the game from dropping pieces to pulling down pieces, but it's not. Well, it's not that you're not going to miss that they're basically the same thing. Also, no Data East credit on this, and Data East did Magical Drop, aka Chain Reaction. So this is just like a combination of two ideas from elsewhere. Sailor Moon, yes. I think I should look at Sailor Moon at some point. There's a Mega Drive version of Sailor Moon too. Sailor Moon is one of those that apparently has improved a lot with the new sound emulation in MAME that will be in the next release. So it's one that I should have really looked at for that, but I have not yet looked at. However, if you like the Sailor Moon arcade game, it's probably one to check out for the next release because it should sound a bit nicer. At least if you're familiar with all the music and sound effects. But yeah, Money Puzzle Exchanger. Basically the same matching mechanic as Mouja, just with a touch of magical drop. And tonight's drink is a pineapple paradise smoothie. Anyway, that's enough of Money Idol Exchanger. Just thought I'd put it on to make the comparison with the previous game. Of course, we can immediately jump to Magical Drop, because Magical Drop is also an M game. So let's go to Magical Drop 3. I know I've done one before. I don't think I've done the Neo Geo ones. So let's go to Magical Drop 3. The Sailor Moon fighting game. It doesn't matter, I know what you mean. Magical Drop 3 is... it's one of those... It's a really good game, actually. I mean, I really like what Data East's done in terms of games, and the Magical Drop series... I think they're some of my favourite puzzle games, actually, just to play casually, just to almost relax while I play. Very stylish, very colourful. Now again, you've got a lovely animated intro. Hand-drawn art. This is when Data East had good hand-drawn art, rather than all the pre-rendered stuff that doesn't kind of look very good. So, ooh. Magical Drop 3, Japanese version. But I know how to play it. Good music, yeah. Perfect puzzle game music. Good selection of characters. So let's be death. Story. Bit of animation. And here we go, stage 1. So yeah, as I said, Money Idol Exchange basically had the gameplay from this, but with the added coins from Mouja. So, you know, it makes sense to show Mouja, show Money Puzzle Exchanger, and show Magical Drop. This is another one of those where you really have to play it aggressively to win. If you play slowly, you'll get beat. If you play it quickly and accurately, you'll win. Well, of course, it's always themed around the tarot cards and stuff like that, isn't it? As you can see. But it's one of those games that's cloned in quite a few of the plug and plays too, but usually missing the key elements that make the game fun. You know, the fast pace of it, the chains are missing, and the plug and plays tend to just implement the very basics of the game and don't get it right. The original versions, all three, well 4 if you include Magical, Chain Reaction, Magical Drop Plus. They're really good games, and when the Neo Geo emulation was fresh and new, people talked about these a lot and seemed to really enjoy them. These days, again, like with many puzzle games, they just seem to have People seem to have stopped talking about them. I don't think people have stopped playing them. Things like Tetris, Grandmaster still get talked about a lot, but other puzzle games, Puzzle Bobble of course, but yeah, some of the other ones just seem to have fallen out of favour. And I don't know why, because to me they are perfect arcade games. Even better if you've got a friend to play competitively. And they're fair, they're well balanced. They're not like puzzle games on mobile where they're designed to just try to get you to buy your way past something. They're all skill based. Obviously they want you to put more coins in, so they make it quite difficult after a while. Hey Jez Jukes, thank you for dropping by. Yeah, this is only a short stream. I wanted to demonstrate a bug fix, which I did at the start of the stream. But yeah, thank you and much appreciated. I hope you're doing well. We've got a few people talking here. We've got Mitcha, we've had Christian earlier. Yeah, we've got MAME Fan as well, who is a regular on these streams and has been very kind with donations quite a few times now. So, you know, you're in good company here, so I hope you enjoy the stay while you are here. Bit of an unplanned stream this one, but since I had fixed that bug and we're running out of March M days and it's an M game, yeah, I thought, why not fire up a little stream? Yeah, this is Magical Drop 3 anyway. As you can see, the gameplay is, it's like Money Puzzle Exchanger, and clearly what Money Puzzle Exchanger was based on, as well as Money Puzzle Exchanger being based on Mouja. You just got this long chain of games that influence games and ideas that got merged together, and yeah, you end up with things like that. So where shall we go now? I'm going to play another one I've actually played on stream before, but really enjoy. And that is SemiCom's Mr. Kicker. Now, this is one of SemiCom's last games. Maybe their last arcade game, I don't know. It's on Hyperstone hardware. It was done around the time of the Japan-Korea World Cup, hence the football theme. Doesn't show a date on the screen. Doesn't even show the copyright on this, the title screen, which is odd. But yeah, this is Mr. Kicker. It's kind of an evolution of Hyper Pacman, Twinkle. It's one of their maze games. But you've got this whole football mechanic. So, you know, you've got to collect the dots. But you can also jump on the football, which helps you collect the dots. And it's really designed for 2 players as well. So you fighting each other with balls and kicking them against each other and just having a bit of a blast with more than one player. But yeah, I really like this one actually. I think this is one of SemiCom's best games. It's got that perfect simplicity of an arcade game. It's got a fresh mechanic with the footballs kicking around to help you collect things. And it's just fun. You can't really say much else about it. I don't think Namco ever really did anything like this with Pacman. There's no football Pacman games that I'm aware of. And it's not really a football game, is it? It's a maze game. So you can kick that way to collect those dots. Helps to get rid of everything else in the level, because that way you get your bigger bonuses. So this is one I could happily play all day. Of course, I'm not going to play it all day. I'm just going to briefly play it to show you what it's like. So let's try and get these before the time expires. There we go. Yeah, it's a really good co-op game. It's great fun co-op, this one. I have had the opportunity to play it once or twice, and you know, you're kicking the balls around and end up getting frustrated with each other. But you know, tell one person to go and clear out one half of the maze while you do another. There we go, flash. It's fast and it controls really well as well. I mean, that's one thing SemiCom did get right with quite a few of these games. They just got the controls right. Twinkle controls great. This controls great. It's just a shame, you know. This was one of their last ones. But so the arcades were kind of dying out by the start of the 2000s. You know, not much left of them. The money was all in the slot machines and the gambling, and which I think SemiCom had a hand in too. There we go. Look at it bouncing around of its own accord because I fired it off. You can do that. Look, I get out of the way. Now it's just going to destroy half the level. I get the other football and do the same there. And then blow myself up because I'm stupid. That's the thing, the footballs have sort of a life of their own, so you can just fire them off like that and have them take care of things. I've got the Super Ball now, which goes turbo fast. Look there. What more could you want in an arcade maze game, really? That's, to me, this is up there with sort of the Pacman game and the Namco Anniversary thing. You know, the Namco Classics Volume 2, I think it is. It's got the new Pacman game. It's, I think, also got the port to the Game Boy Advance. So I would rank this on the same level. I have looked at this one on a much earlier stream, but it's been a while. Oh, there we go, you've got your teleporters here. I think there's a window open somewhere because I've got little bugs flying around. It's not the most challenging game at times, so if you don't concentrate, you can make silly mistakes. But maybe that's also kind of why I like it, because, you know, I'm not that good at games, so I need a football. I don't want things that are too challenging, because I just get beaten quite badly. There we go. So these. Time ball there. Oh, didn't clear that out in time. Yeah, I don't want to spend too long on this one, but because there's always the temptation to just play this one for a long, long time. So, you know, it's got elements of lots of other games. I mean, the twisty things kind of ladybug-like. Gates. There you go, you see, straight through. Straight across. So, clear this out. I think maybe people are aware of this one because I do talk about SemiCom quite a lot. But if you're not, that's just so satisfying when it just blasts around like that and destroys so many blocks at once. If you walk into ghosts, you are going to die. I might put on Twinkle next briefly, even though it's not an end game, just to show the influence. But yeah, actually, I think I'll do that. Actually, I'll put on some of the predecessors to this game. So, if we start with SemiCom's first game that was like this, you've got Hyper Pacman. I'm only going to play these very briefly because these aren't end games, but Hyper Pacman, you know, it's the same type of thing. It's one of SemiCom's maze games. You get the idea. This is probably the first time they did this concept. But this obviously doesn't have footballs, this is just a Pacman game that Namco weren't too happy about. Well, it's more than a Pacman game, it's actually a brilliant game because it's got all the secrets and things like that. So yeah, this is actually a really good game too, but I'm not going to play that too much. There was also Twinkle. Now apparently there's also a Twinkle 2, but it's never been found or dumped. But Twinkle is the same type of thing, but you know, with a bit flashier presentation, a bit faster. I think Twinkle doesn't have bosses though. One thing Hyper Pacman does have is bosses, which are absent in Twinkle, but again you can see it's got the same type of SemiCom maze game look and feel as Mr. Kicker had, and you know, it's really good actually. You know, again, one of my favourites. One of the reasons I rank SemiCom quite highly. I'd love to see Twinkle 2 turn up, assuming it does really exist. We've seen the sort of title screenshots, so I'm assuming it does. There's also a very strange thing. Happy Alaskan holiday to you then, Bob, too. Right, so there's this 4-in-1 bootleg from KI Soft in 2002. Now, as far as I know, SemiCom weren't involved in this. But clearly, yeah, this. It's got Snow Brothers in it, by the way. So, you know, they did just outright bootleg Snow Brothers for this one with terrible sound. But that's not what I'm showing here. It's got this Pacman 2 in it, which, again, this seems to be very much SemiCom's game engine. But by a different company. I really don't know what's going on here, but yeah. Unless this is Twinkle 2 in a bootleg form, hacked up title screen, I really don't know. It doesn't quite play like the others because you can move up and down slightly on as you're going across. It's a very odd one, that. I have no idea. No, these are by SemiCom, Mr. Kicker, Hyper Pacman, and Twinkle. Namco actually weren't happy at all with SemiCom, and that's why if we go... If we look at, if I can remember the title. What is the title? Semi 3. One moment. I can't remember the set name. I think it was renamed at some point. But yeah, Namco basically told SemiCom that they ain't allowed to use the name Hyper Pacman because, you know, SemiCom. Okay, so it is 3-in-1 Semi. I thought it was. Right, so SemiCom actually renamed, made the next game in the series, which is still obviously the same game. New HyperMan. It's based on the same series, but it doesn't actually play like Pacman, this one. It's also another 3-in-1 from SemiCom. But New HyperMan, which is this is only in the 3-in-1. Again, it's a SemiCom maze game, but this time you're shooting the ghosts. I don't quite get it, but, you know. Anyway, we seem to have... gone off on a bit of a tangent right now. This was meant to be an M stream, so yeah, I just decided to talk a bit about a bit about SemiCom there, but you know, it's all good fun. So we look at prototype. Not a very good prototype. Now I covered mini golf in a previous stream, but apparently Atari also had their own mini golf that was a prototype, and this is it. Now this strangely enough actually just uses a dial left and right, so you aim your shot and then you hold down for the amount of time you want to make the ball go forward. Now it seems really jerky. I don't know if it's meant to be really jerky. Obviously I don't have any references to hardware because this is just a prototype. But yeah, it's kind of bad, and there's no sound emulation. And it's kind enough to tell you it's uphill. It had potential, I guess, but you can kind of see why this was abandoned. I can't even get the ball in the first hole. This is bad. I still have 27 shots left apparently though. But Atari were one of those companies where, you know, for every game they put out, there were probably 20 that didn't get put out. And sometimes it's easy to see why, sometimes it's not. Personally, I think they should have probably gone with an easier first hole. I mean, I could probably waste all my shots just trying to get it in one hole here. Oh dear. You know, maybe I should just quit playing Atari's mini golf. Oh look. Apparently it's kind enough to just put me onto the next stage. So I don't know if it's meant to be quite this jolty, but it's a very simple driver, so I don't really know what could be causing it to be if it's not meant to be. Yeah, I mean, this is from when? It's 1978. So, you know, at the time, this is pretty innovative. Had it come out, but maybe what we're seeing with the frame rate issue is the reason it didn't come out. I don't know. Oh, there we go. For some reason, the first hole is harder than many of the holes that come after it as well. I do like a bit of mini golf, and I actually like the way they control this one, using a dial and you hold it down for power. I prefer this over the controls on many of the trackball ones, but there's not really much of a game here in the end. So it had potential. It's a shame it didn't get released, especially for 78. I think this could have actually done well in the arcades, but say maybe they just hit problems with it. Maybe they thought people would not want to play golf in an arcade. But overall, it does play a lot like you'd expect a mini golf game to play. Just a case of bouncing off lots of walls and trying to get it to the hole. You've got a limited number of shots to get as far as you can. Anyway, so this is Atari's mini golf. There's not much else to say about it. Nichibutsu, Mighty Guy. Imperfect sound, apparently. What are the controls? Okay, 2-button game. I think this is one of the Nichibutsu game with a bit of protection on it. When was this released? Let me get a date on it again. 86. So, yeah, we're talking around the time Commando and the like were out early on, because that was like 85, 86. So this is what Nichibutsu had to offer. Very obviously Nichibutsu from the style, or Neon Butsun, as they also known. But you've got your punches, you've got your kicks. Knives hurt. Gunshots hurt. But they're not knives, I'm being shot at. Kind of got a slight Atari 3 feel to it, although Atari 3 is rotary. But again, you've got your overhead sort of, well, not, Atari 3 is not quite overhead, is it? But you've got your kicks. I'm glad you think it looks good, because I'm not doing a good job of demonstrating how to play it. That was one credit down very quickly. But yeah, if you actually learn to play it, and don't just get shot by everything and knifed by everything, but you when you jump, you actually do a flying kick, so you're off the ground for a while. So you have to sort of take that into account. Now I've got a gun of my own. But yeah, it's not bad. I mean, Nichibutsu could make a good game. I mean, they've got many classic shooters to their name. And there are quite a few other games that I really like. The one that was bootlegged as Bibi Kids. Can't remember the Japanese title. Is one of my favourite hole-digging games. A bit of style, right? Obviously, Terra Force, Terra Cresta, a good 16-bit games, Armed Formation, Armed F. I'm not so keen on Skyro though, Big Fighter. I think that one just feels unfinished. It's, not everything they did was perfect. I mean, most of what they put out was Mahjong games, that is true. But when they weren't doing Mahjong games, they did some other good games. Going Crazy Climber. Everybody knows Crazy Climber. Crazy Climber 2. Not so many people know. Yeah, if you just walk into bullets, you'll die very quickly. I mean, let's be fair. It's not a good strategy, is it, walking into bullets? Yeah. It's not one of my go-to games, this. But it is one that I can recognise as, if you take the time to learn it and play it properly, it's alright. It's alright, is this one. Just got to keep in mind that you've got to spend quite a lot of time avoiding things, not just attacking things. If you just go gung-ho and run straight into everything, you will die very quickly. I mean, there are plenty of games where you go around punching and kicking. Is Downtown another one like this? Or this second one? We've obviously got quite a big area to move around in. And I got hit. What are my go-to games? It's a good question, really. If you mean games I'll just fire on for a minute, Twinkle that I put on just a bit ago, that for a Pacman game, that one is. I do like some of the puzzle games. I don't really know which one would be my go-to. I tend to just flick between games quite often. I really like Domi, the Technos thing, the little puzzle game where you're piling up dominoes and pushing them over. That's definitely one I'll come back to all the time. I quite often put on these shoot 'em ups, you know, your Dodon Patchies, because as bad as I am at them, I find them quite relaxing. Ketsui is probably my favourite there, or Espluda. I quite have to play those for hours and just sort of be bad at them but relax. More games running on the VT168. I mean, there's been a few dumped over the last few months, haven't there? There was some more of the handhelds dumped I put on Twitter. One's got a very silly Mr. Driller cloning, of all things. There's a handheld organizer thing, VT168, that was dumped with a puzzle loop cloning, but that's actually pushing the hardware quite hard, and I've not managed to fix the emulation up for it yet. It seems to be using the second CPU as more than just a sound CPU for once, which is, you know, quite amazing. But it also means my emulation falls apart because it's using features I haven't emulated yet and need to get back to. Yeah, VT's a bit hit and miss. I don't know quite how much out there is using it. There are videos of things on YouTube that aren't dumped that are probably VT1682, but it's mostly just the same games, you know, different collections of them. And most of them feel kind of unfinished. That's my primary feeling with the VT1682 software, is that it feels like, oh, we've got this idea, let's start to make a game. Oh, it's not finished, let's ship it anyway. But maybe that's not fair. But it does quite often feel like that with those. That's a big one, isn't it? Don't like, you're too big. Yeah, I mean, this isn't going to displace Commando, is it? But that's not to say it's not fun, because it is good fun actually. Just quite tough. I mean, I'm bad at it, but I don't think there's anything on VT1682 on my remaining list for M games. There's a few some Plus hardware ones that I'm probably not going to cover today. There's my first DDR, which isn't VT1682. I'll put that on anyway just to show the emulation progress, or lack of progress, because it's annoying me. This is not a playable game. This is my first Dance Dance Revolution. 2006 plug and play from Konami. It doesn't work yet. Now, it kind of gives the impression it might work, but there's no music, there's no sound. I have no idea how the sound emulation works on it at all. I don't know if the sound's done in a separate chip. There are samples in the main ROM, but yeah. Now, say that the songs do initially play, kind of. But again, there's no music, there's no sound. I can't find the sound triggers. I think there's probably an internal ROM area that needs dumping on some of them, because there's an interrupt that points at nothing. That it points at an empty space between the ROM and other stuff. So I think there might be an internal area that might be somewhat responsible for the missing sound. But I don't know how to get code running on the unit, because it's not proper ROMs in the first place. It's globs, and that's really hard to actually run your own code on such a unit. But the game kind of works for like one song, and then some songs just no arrows appear. There's video features and scrolling I've not quite emulated, but this isn't VT1682. This is sort of some WinBond hardware. Yeah, and dance and no sound. Unfortunately, the same's true of a NES-based dance thing I just emulated. We've got Sean who's analysing the PCB, and it looks like they're not using their sound hardware at all. They've got a separate MCU and a little daughter board with all the songs built into it. So the game, again, runs with no sound whatsoever. That one's Extreme Dancing from the company that's also known as Time Top, Die Zing. Put some pictures of that on Twitter again recently. I don't think that's in the current build because it's not been merged yet, so I can't show you that one immediately. I'm probably not going to. It's not worth seeing anyway. Right, let's go with a game that... this is Miss Puzzle by Min Corporation on Gunbo Hardware. Now, the main thing I remember about Gunbo Hardware is I wrote the driver... Sorry, I've gone vertical, it's horizontal. Is it? No, it is vertical. I wrote the driver sort of in about half an hour before getting a flight one day. The game I originally wrote for was Gumbo, but Gumbo is an adult game. This Miss Puzzle version doesn't have any adult pictures in the background, so it's actually suitable for YouTube. It's interesting hardware in the sense that it uses 4x4 pixel tiles rather than 8x8 pixel tiles. There's no sprite, so it's all tiles, but they're not a standard size. And yet it uses this music that's also found on other games like Muse. Yeah, it's just a tile sliding game, really. So, not much appeal, but apparently this is what Min Corporation like to make. It does make me wonder if Muse by Poby is also related to Min Corporation, or if they just stole the same sort of soundtrack. But yeah, so instead of naked ladies, you have pictures of tigers, and then you get the odd shot of a regular non-nude shot. Let's match some beer. Now, I can't imagine anybody really wanting to spend time playing these, to be quite honest, but just one of those things that was more interesting from an emulation trivia point of view than anything else. Sliding puzzles are... Yeah, I can't say I understand why people want to put money into a slide puzzle. But there you go, Miss Puzzle. There's a reason I've not covered this in an early M stream. It's not really worth... Nothing to say. Not really worth it, is it? There's nothing to say about it. And that is actually the case with quite a lot of the things that are left on my list of M games. I mean, we can have another look at them. Another one where there are adult versions and there are non-adult versions. Yunsung, who mostly make adult games, have Magic Bubble. What is Magic Bubble? Well, it's Puzzle Bubble. It's Puzzle Bubble with a giant bunny. And clearly, they've copied many elements of the design. They've outright stolen the sounds. It's got kind of horrible controls. A bad music loop. It doesn't play too badly compared to some Puzzle Bubble knockoffs, but it's still just a Puzzle Bubble knockoff. Oh, look, we've got Winnie the Pooh and Tigger in the background, as opposed to naked ladies. Because why not? It just misses the details that actually make Puzzle Bubble good. And doesn't control well, which, you know, is always a sin on a puzzle game. If I was going to play a knockoff puzzle game, again, I'd rather go to SemiCom and play the Cookie and Bibi games, because they actually play quite well. Upoko, it doesn't begin with M. I did play Mushihime-Tama on another stream. I can put back on, actually. I put Mushihime-Tama on, not Upoko. Because the theme for these M streams is that the games have to begin with M or be related to games beginning with M, unless I go off on a tangent, in which case you get things like SemiCom's Twinkle, But that was just to show the you know, the relationship to that and Mr. Kicker. But yeah, Magic Bubble. It's Puzzle Bubble, but it's not Puzzle Bubble. Oh, hey, Big Winner, thank you for joining. And yeah, it's a later stream than usual, so it's not going to be going on for too long, but I do appreciate you joining. It's always good to see people in the chat, and I hope you enjoy yourself and enjoy talking with everybody else who's here as well. Yeah, I think, you know, this is Puzzle Bubble, but it's not Puzzle Bubble, it's Magic Bubble. There's not much else to say about it. It's shameless, isn't it? It's really shameless. There are definitely worse Puzzle Bubble knockoffs. Well, that's not even centered. What's that all about? I don't think it lifts any code. It seems to be an original piece of code. It's just, you know, stolen graphics and stolen sounds. It looks like, you know, it doesn't play well enough for me to think it's got stolen code. These fine details are missing. But okay, so this is the closest I can really do to Upoko while staying on the M theme, and that's Puzzle Mushihime-Tama. You know, I can't pronounce Japanese words. That one on the screen right there. Up there, there. Where are we going? Up there. Anyway, it's basically the sequel to Upoko, but with Mushihime-Tama characters. So let's speed up that. It's by Cave. And it's very quiet. Just a moment. Let's turn this up from there to there. Let's speak a bit louder now. Mushihime. Yeah, maybe. Mushihime. So Mushihime-Tama. Anyway, you have a voiced intro, which I'm probably going to skip because, you know, if you want the voiced intro, watch the voiced intro. And I like the way they cross out the Sama part of the title and put, I'm assuming, Tama, because I can't read it, but, you know, that's the difference. But yeah, if you played Upoko, I have featured this one in the previous stream, but it's, you know, it's Upoko. That will help with the pronunciation, yes. Living in Japan certainly will help. I have not lived in Japan. I've seen enough Japanese games and heard enough Japanese to know, but it doesn't stick in my head. I was always terrible at languages at school. Absolutely terrible. And that doesn't seem to have changed in adult life. But yeah, it's Upoko, isn't it? It's a sequel to Upoko. For some reason, a lot of people aren't aware of this one, even though they're aware of Upoko. You've got to rescue the creatures by freeing them. I usually get to the same point and fail every time, so you're probably going to see exactly what you've seen from me when I've played this game before, which is disastrous gameplay. So, yeah, Upoko with bugs. Well, but not a buggy game. I mean, it's got bugs, but it doesn't seem to crash on you, does it? Again, it would have been nice to see more games like this from Cave. I know they did their shooters, and they weren't best known for their shooters, but clearly they knew how to make a good puzzle game. So, you know, this is up there. In fact, you were asking what go-to games were. I think Upoko would be one of them, because it's one way you can just sit there with one button, just like this, and then play it. And yeah, it gets tricky. I'm not especially good at it, but it is one of those that I would quite often go to. It's sort of a cross between Puzzle Bobble Upside Down, but also sort of a pinball pachinko type of thing, because you have to time your things. You don't aim. You hold down one button and then you release it. You hold down one button and you release it, and that determines how far anything goes. So it's got an interesting strategy compared to a lot of things. So if somebody asks me how do you do a game with only one button, this is one I'll show them, or Upoko, because that's exactly what they are. They are games that have been designed to just work with one button, yet they're still really good games. Okay, I didn't know that, Santovi. So that is another interesting fact. MAME, an Israeli folk song. Okay. Is that the background music? Not this theme, obviously, because this is the "You're About to Die." Except now you're not, because you're doing the right theme. This one. It does have that folky type sound to it, so I'm assuming that this is the one you're referring to. That was this same tune was used in Sexy Parodius, was it? Again, it's something I wasn't aware of. I played Sexy Parodius, but I've never connected the dots in that way. I might have to play Sexy Parodius one time. I think it'll be okay for YouTube. It's listed as adult in the MAME's category, but it's more suggested and explicit, isn't it? The Chinese boss. Ah. Yeah, I mean, all you need is a joystick, but you only need to actually pull down. Now, this just had these boss fights where you've got to aim at the weak spot, which I'm really failing. No, I'm going to fail this because my timing's completely off. So this makes it for me. This is almost like. So what happens if we made a single button shooter, where you just had to aim using one button? It's probably the most cave thing in this game. There we go. Yeah, so I mean, the Catver. I've decided the Catver is only a guide. For some reason, all the Laserdisc games in Catver that don't work are listed as something like platformers, which is complete nonsense. And then some other games that don't work are listed in there in completely the wrong place. Rebus is definitely an adult game because it only boots to test mode and has an adult picture test, but that's listed as just puzzle or something. That's a micro hard game. Micro hard for some reason wanted to protect all their terrible games. And because they're so terrible and nobody cares about them, nobody has figured out how they work. Apart from the Return of Lady Frog, which I extensively Trojaned back in the day. Although really, whatever the MCU in that needs dumping, because the Trojan I wrote at the time didn't do any kind of verification on the data, so it could all be wrong for all I know. Like, it could have errors in it. But that was back in the early days of writing Trojans, and just getting some code that worked was good enough. But, and that's not even just the code it puts in RAM either. That's got extra protection, like some bit swap thing to control game logic. It's just like, why is there so much protection on a random adult hack of Splash? But they did the same with Super Chick, the hack of Pengo. That's got its own protection and routines that just kill the game if they don't get the right values. Although sort of Super Chick progress died because nobody dumped the proms. And it's not much fun emulating something where it doesn't look like the actual colour proms are going to get dumped. Especially not when they're not the same as Pengo. But, Micro Hard, strange company. Okay. Doing not too bad this time. Got a 2-3 without blowing it, but this is probably where I do die. You've got to the numbers on those decrease every time you pop something near them, which means you've got to do quite a bit to clear this stage, more than you maybe expect. It's not too bad. It's It's not great either. Oh, that was bad. That was a mistake. Yeah, that was terrible. Okay, well there you go. So I have played this one before, but I'll get another try. I'll get another try. I didn't realise I had an extra try. I'm wasting my extra try. You just fit it tells you if you get it perfectly aimed. That's not perfectly aimed. Okay. Okay. There we go. Actually, I look like I can leave that stage. Alright, Jess Jukes, thank you for joining. And yeah, it's quite late here. I mean, like I said, I'm not going to be streaming too late myself. I'm on an hour and 13 minutes already. So you're probably only going to miss that about 20 more minutes because it's not going to be a 3-hour stream. It's too late for me to be leaving the 3-hour stream. But I wanted to show off that bugfix as I mentioned. But thank you for joining. It's always appreciated. Feel free to drop by any time if I'm streaming at a more reasonable time, maybe. But, once I die here, assuming I die here, I will be moving on to another game because I have played this one before. But I try to accommodate requests in a roundabout way. I might not die here. And since the request was Upoko, this is the closest I could get without breaking my theme more than I'd already broken it. The Twitch streams I think are going to be more loosely themed, or if I'm not specifically doing an end theme, it's easier to play random things. But I'm running out of March. There's not much March left now. I've still got end games left. But I think for the ones I've not played, it's no big loss. So I'm actually going to quit this now because I've been playing that a little bit too long. Now, I noticed I've really not played many of the Mortal Kombat games. I played Mortal Kombat 4 on a stream, but I've still got 1, 2, 3 and Ultimate to play. I don't want to play them. As bad as that sounds, I just don't want to play Mortal Kombat. So I'm going to put on something entirely different that's not Mortal Kombat. Well, there's not enough for May. May, I'm thinking I'm going multi-platform or Mega Drive or something like that, or it's my birthday. That kind of... No, I don't know. We'll see. Mighty Monkey by Universal Video Games. Basically a Galaxian hardware shooter. With a very low resolution, we fill in the tile colours. Title. They will make it look worse. Oh, not Myst. I can't stand Myst. I'm sorry. I know Myst has a lot of fans, but Myst is one of those games where I go, what? Okay, what's the point? Let's turn this back down. Myst is just one of those adventure games that bores me. I love adventure games. I mean, I could probably do 3 hours of Monkey Island, but that's the secret of Monkey Island. Speaking of classic tunes, what on earth is this doing in this game? Monopoly JPM is on my list, but I'm really bad at quiz games. I might put it on. Like for about a minute. And then go, why am I playing this? My general knowledge is appalling. Unless you can hack me up a MAME question set. What am I doing now? I've done Maximum Force on a previous stream. Yeah, quite often traditional tunes do get used in that case. Or sometimes they just think they fit. So I don't know what the alternate form is for, because I can't seem to eat anything. But, you know, I've hardly played this game. Oh, I crashed again. Oh. Let's at least kill the butterfly fairy bugs. Clouds appear to be scrolling the wrong way, but, you know, it's just a very confusing game. Not a classic. But not terrible, just... There are many better games. There we go. A Godzilla game? Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. How does a Godzilla game tie into my theme? Well, we're doing M for monster. I don't know, the Godzilla... I think my favourite Godzilla game in MAME is the Taito one that's not licensed. That begins with a D, though, I think. And it's really tough, and can't get anywhere in it. M for... Okay, M for Mothra. Ah, I see. I see. I'm going to stick with the Mighty Monkey for now. To say the Cebu Hardware Godzilla game, I'm still not 100% convinced by the protection on it. There is still a ROM patch for the collisions. And the other one is, as I say, there's the Taito one that's not licensed. Are there other arcade Godzilla games? I don't know. There's Ultraman games. I think they sort of have Godzilla in. Or something like Godzilla. Yeah, there are worse games than this. There are better games than this. I think I might have played enough of this. Okay, I played enough of that. This is a sort of rush through games because there's not much time streaming. Say some of these I might come back to another time. Why am I doing this? Why am I putting myself through this? Wait. You asked for it. I don't know the answers to any of the questions. I'm just going to randomly guess them. What do you mean cache door open? Cache door is no longer open. JPM presents Deluxe Monopoly. Put in a coin. Put in more coins because one coin is never enough. It's a touchscreen. I mean, to be fair, I think a real gun shooting at the monitor of this thing would be better, but... So, let's go. Lucky dip. I don't know. Oh, there we go. We had some vodka. Watch the cards. I didn't even just... What? Whatever. Oh. Thank you, school. Yes. Technology. This is not blooming technology, it's medicine. Some of the questions... some of the questions are not always where you think they'd be. Also, this is meant to have lights around the screen. So far, I'm doing quite well at guessing the answers. I think this predates it, doesn't it? It's buy property. This is probably a bad idea. I'll probably just end up running out of money. So when you buy stuff, I think it's meant to light up things around the board. Let's just continue. Nope. I don't know, it's a Bible question. And therefore, I've run out of points. I'm bankrupt. It is game over. Yeah, they're not meant to be relaxing, are they? They're meant to take your money. Let's try again. Let's go technology again. I don't know. A to Z. But yeah, the times are aggressive, and if the machines don't want to pay out, the times get even more aggressive. That's kind of how they balance these things, because you win money on them, but they're meant to be skill-based games. And the only way to make them skill-based is to make the timers really aggressive. Why did I click go to jail? That seemed a bit of a silly thing to do, didn't it? But, okay. Geography. I don't see any chance on geography, do I? Oh. Unless it's a really easy question. You know, Italy's flag. Let's buy Bow Street. Then they're kind of gambling games. I mean, they're primarily a fruit machine company. I don't know. So all these UK quiz machines, you do win the money that's in the bank. So they're skill based, but they find ways to throw you off the machine if they don't want to pay out. And you can beat them anyway, but you just have to be very quick and know your answers. So I passed go apparently. But yeah, if you could see the rest of the board lighting up, these would make more sense. So I can't see where I am on the board. I don't know. Oh dear. Bankrupt. But yeah, there's a Cluedo one as well that I fixed a bug in a few months ago. Yeah, they're like gambling games, but not quite gambling games. I could have got the orange set. I'd have known that if I had the lights to actually tell me what I was doing. But yeah, you can win £20 on this machine apparently. I guess that would be getting a whole set on the most expensive one or something. I don't know. But yeah, they're not bad in terms of how they're presented. They're a little bit laggy in terms of inputs. There's the Hangman game as well. There's quite a few undumped ones. There's a Snakes and Ladders one where there's no video ROMs dumped from JPM, which is a shame because they're kind of uncommon now. I don't think we know anybody who's got one because I think they were recalled from the locations when they were finished with and converted to other things. And you know, we're not the biggest place to be hoarding old cabinets of video gamblers in back rooms. Places change ownership all the time. Things get trashed. Things get thrown out. So there's probably some of them that are lost, if I'm quite honest with you. But yeah, there's the JPM Monopoly one. Cash printer goes brrr. And dot matrix printer would deafen you. Anyway, that was Monopoly. Mazer Blazer. Does this work correctly? Does this not work correctly? I don't know. Apparently it's got some issues. Yeah, AD stick. Okay. So, yeah, this is one that got requested quite often. Apparently they were missing sound ROMs for speech or something. Maybe it had them. Again, seems like a very rare game, very rare board. Apparently there's no sound at all. I thought there was some sound. But apparently there's no sound at all now. Unless it's broken. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure those are meant to leave trails like that. So there are some issues. Imperfect sound. So yeah, where is the sound? Okay, the lack of sound might be a regression. I'll have to check that out. Because I know there's no speech ROMs, but I thought there was meant to be some sound. Okay. Yeah, you saw the things, now you meant to find them or something in the bonus round. I'm not going to play that one because the sound's not working. I think the sound's meant to work, so that is another for me to investigate. This seems to be happening too often. But no, it's not that bad, is it? Looking at my list, I've not covered that yet. Plug and play time. MX Dirt Rebel, maybe Dirt Rebel MX by Tiger on Zavix hardware, or the enhanced Zavix hardware, the one that's not Zavix Super Zavix, but kind of is in the middle. It's got the extended opcodes, but it's not got the new video modes. But I think officially it's just still considered Zavix. Just be quiet again, so up the volume goes. You get to hear. Get to hear something? Maybe not. I'll have to relaunch it. There you go. Now, saving profiles. Obviously, it's a motocross game, hence MX. Now, it does use a tilt controller, but in reality, it's not an analog control. Tilting it just registers basically joystick input. I'm going to be C because I can't be able to enter a name. Yes, C is fine. Race. Now, you actually unlock things, so there's progress in this. So there's reason to come back to it and play it again. Because to start off with, you only have the basic thing, the basic bike, don't get upgrades. So there's a sense of progression with these ones. But yeah, it's otherwise it's a fairly basic dirt bike thing, isn't it? Nice sort of ground effects though. And I think there are ways to do tricks on the things, but I can't actually remember how. Ooh, not like that. No, continue. I did used to know how to do the tricks, but I have forgotten. But yeah, you turn too sharply, that happens. Yeah, this is a plug and play thing. There we go, there's a trick. It's a plug and play game from Tiger, which does have progress saving. The saving, I believe, does work on it. It's hooked up properly. Unfortunately, the first tracks are kind of just very, very basic, just to get you into the game. So it's not going to be the most exciting thing just to watch being played. But it's technically it's quite impressive. It's got a stunt challenge mode as well, but then you do have to know how to do the stunts. Yeah, so it's nice race effect. 2 laps to go, so you know. A lot of those M games are Mahjong though, and the only Mahjong game I could realistically stream was Mahjong Block Jongbao, which is an Arkanoid type game, and I had to turn the adult dip switch off on that one. But otherwise, yes, Nichibutsu. So are there other controls? I can't remember. No, it's just a case of knowing how to use the ones I've got. Now, the different courses do have different themes. So you've got this one, you've got a snowy theme. Yes, Casper, it's quite a late stream. Thank you for joining me. I mean, there's not going to be much more of this stream left. I did say an hour and a half, and I am on an hour and a half now. So probably going to be another game or two, because yeah, it's after midnight now. Let's retire. But you get the idea. This is a Dirt Rebel. Not the worst plug and play in the world, to be quite honest. But without unlocking any of the courses, there's not much to show for it at the moment. But I'd say if you want an interesting enough plug and play to play, it's not the worst one to pick. Right, Konami's MX5000. Shoot 'em up time. I'm going to have to turn the volume down because I've realised it's still on quite loud. So there we go. So, coming up. What is a Konami shooter from 1987 like? I'm going to tell you, I don't actually know because I've basically never spent any time playing this one. And I guess this is a similar time to quite a lot of better known shooters. So when was Flying Shark and the like? Okay, those kill you. Right. So this might be one of those cases where not everything Konami made was brilliant. Yeah, anyway. Quite hard to make out the planes on this actually. They're sort of the same murky, greeny greys as the buildings below. So we've got the Xevious style bomb. There seems to be slightly more torpedo. I don't know. I'm gonna go. Oh, that is a tiny little shot that got me. Alright, Santori, thank you for joining. Yeah, I can understand you wanting to drop into bed and get some sleep at 2 AM. I'll probably be doing the same shortly. So thank you for joining. It's always good to see you pop in and have a chat and drop some interesting facts that I might not be aware of. So I learn something usually from what you have to say. So the Israeli folk tune thing this time is definitely one I would not have been aware of. I think everybody else who's watching appreciates it too, because now they know about, and everybody who's watching a catch-up is going to know something they probably didn't know before. And I've not seen that mentioned any of that in the arcade trivia or anything like that. So yeah, it's Europe times are late times. Well, okay, we've gone mini ship. This is a bit different. Okay, so we get something a bit different, and I die. It's quite a boomy shooter. Oh, I can continue. Okay. Where do I continue? I continue from... Where's this? The controls don't feel as responsive as I'd like them to be in this game. I don't know if that's the game. I mean, it must be the game because I'm finding them a lot more responsive in other games. It sounds to me my aim is quite bad. Okay. Oh, the keyboard rhythms are always fun, aren't they? I mean, I know I could probably use a pad and make less clicky keyboard noises, but I have to use these this time. I have to use my slow missiles on this thing. Really? Yeah. And it checkpoints me all the way back here. Okay, I'm starting to not like this game. No. I'm not playing a checkpoint shooter at midnight. Maybe when I can concentrate a little bit better, I will play a checkpoint shooter. But yeah, I mean, it's got potential. I did like the way it transformed into sort of a different type of game. 8-directional movement and shooting when you got to the boss. But then they say the controls didn't really feel tight enough for me to enjoy it. Maybe it just takes a bit of getting used to. I don't know. This is also by Konami. It's called Megazone. What is Megazone? I'm not sure. I'm not entirely sure I actually played this one before. I think it's another shooter. Yeah, looks shootery. Much earlier one. 83. Oh, map. Okay. Okay. So I don't have to stay on the river. I can go anywhere I want. I can't go into the trees. I can go in the river, but I can't go in the trees. This has got a little beat to it as well, even without my clicky keyboard noises. Okay, that kills me. I mean, there used to at least be a lot of MAME devs in Europe, because it was a very European project. I mean, Nicola was from Italy, and I think that's sort of where it get quite a big following, because it was a big open project from Europe primarily. I'm not sure about the priorities in this, but I've never played an original. Things seem to be going behind things I'd expect them to go in front of, but it is from 1983, so that might just be correct. These are obnoxiously spawning into me enemies. It did appear a little bit on the bottom before it appeared at the top, but again, 83 border. Yeah, Docks is Europe too, Poland. A lot of the older days were, like I say, Steph was France. Okay, I'm not 100% sure this is fully emulated, but it's an 83 Konami game that probably has had very little care and attention to it, and without original hardware references, I can't say either way. It could just be that things at the bottom are cut off by overscan areas on a monitor. It could be it needs a few fixes. I don't think I've ever played it before. Doesn't seem too bad actually for an 83 shooter. I'm having more fun with them MX5000. So this only seems to have one fire button, so there's no bomb mechanic I can see. Yeah, I'm going to give it another credit. Early Konami. Yeah, 83. I like what they got done with the sound. It's very different. It's just got this sort of little beat to it. It kind of works for the genre. Although I keep forgetting you can't go in the green areas. Yeah, it's clearly it's meant to be some sort of drum effect. It's almost got a sort of tribal feel to it, hasn't it? Which probably doesn't really fit the shoot 'em up. It works. It works for me. Oh dear. Yeah, I think Phil moved to America, didn't he? And obviously, Aaron is US based too. There's a big map on this that I'm getting nowhere near the end of. So there's clearly a lot of variety in terms of the areas. But it's quite tough. Different make its own. It's on its own driver. I don't know. I've never even played it before. It does have that feel to it, doesn't it? That general look and feel. So possibly. AY standard Konami sort of sound hardware of the era. It's not too bad. Okay, I'm going to quit it now because, like I said, we're on an hour 45. I'm probably going to have time for one more game. I'm going to go with the Taito game where, unfortunately, the MCU's still not been dumped. And the original version of the game is still not been dumped because we only have the sequel. But the original version is one of those ridiculously rare games. And this is pretty rare too, which is why the MCU has not been dumped. I think there was an attempt to dump one, but it came out as a bad dump because the 68705 dumper doesn't always work on certain chips. So yeah, Metal Soldier Isaac 2. 85 by Taito. Controls are standard joystick. Windows 10 is Aaron's fault, is it? Now, I played Mighty Guy earlier, and that sort of had a similar overhead walking thing going on, although this is quite a different game. Unfortunately, since the MCU is only simulated, I don't know how accurate it is, because the MCU simulation code on this one seems to be one of those really extensive ones where the entire movement of the sprites and everything else goes through the MCU. I believe... Oh, what? Okay. And I've not really... It's one of those I've not spent much time playing, because I prefer to play things when the MCUs are dumped rather than before. Let's just fly. Avoid them. No. Don't get me, missile. Don't get me, missile. I don't know what I'm doing. It's got a very light, fluffy explosion method on this. The explosions just seem wispy. I don't even get my metal suit back when I die. That's a bit mean. I have a bomb thing that goes behind me. Okay, I can bomb things like that. That's interesting. And now I've got a suit back. For now. But I feel very vulnerable like this, very slow. And now I've lost my suit again. I know nothing about this game. Can you tell? Yeah, it's got free movement. I can go back on myself. I don't know if there's some element of having to destroy everything in a level. Like I said, I also don't know if there are going to be emulation issues, because you know how sneaky Taito were with their protections, how they'll protect every last little thing. And so just the track mode. There's okay. I didn't complete it. These aren't the end credits. Well, that's a different message. Okay. It lets you get far too close to the edge before it scrolls though, which means you can't see what's coming up. Yeah, the rotating sprites are kind of ZVSy, aren't they? They might not be squares, but still, they spin around and they're grey. So, what's level mean? Is that, oh, okay, it blew up again. Is that like a rank thing? Seems to be what I've destroyed. And then it goes down levels when I die? Or is it just going up all the time? I don't get it's the problem. Okay, when you try and bomb one of those, you get your suit back. Which means I can then do this, but... Can't destroy things if they're off screen. Okay. This is where somebody will tell me I'm not meant to be destroying any of these things. And things respawn. Okay, so it's not a case of, it's not Fantasy Zone destroy everything in the level sense, because they are clearly respawning. So if this is meant to be the refined, clearer, worth releasing version of this game, what was the original Metal Soldier Isaac like? I'm assuming even more confusing. Oops, bit slow down. So the level does seem to determine the difficulty, maybe? Like a rank? Or... I don't know. I do not know how to play this game. Let me get this whole thing about this cinematic end sequence just for game over, which apparently you can't skip. I don't have any MAME to boot inside of MAME. The closest I could come is the sort of 3080-1 or whatever it is, and that takes about 10 minutes to boot and runs at a fraction of the normal speed. So I'm not set up with the PC drivers to load an old DOS version in MAME's PC drivers. I don't think I can load MAME in MAME. But that was Metal Soldier Isaac 2. Yes, they are quite proud of that effect, aren't they? I mean, you know, if I go... I mean, I can tell it to load this, but like it's running at 25% speed. So yeah, this is not going to be too entertaining, is it? And this is probably only parts of MAME, not a full MAME execution. It doesn't even seem to be working anymore. Is this the one that doesn't work at all? Or is it a different one? The one... I don't know. Which one's meant to show something? Is the 4080 one? Which one shows something? Do any of them show something? I thought the 39 in one showed something. Maybe they broke. Maybe I'm being impatient. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the 39 in one that's meant to show something. Not the 60 in one or the 48 in one. Would it, yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I was trying. Oh, now it's booting. Okay. Now, I think what it's doing at this point is actually booting up all the games and making save states or something. Oh, no, this is the point where I think it's booting the games and making save states for them, so that when you select them in the menu, it boots to them. But yeah, I don't think this is 100% MAME, but some people did binary analysis on it and found, I think that there was definitely some binary similarities between some MAME ports to the digital cameras, which were the old ARM ports. It's a curious piece of hardware because the only other things we've seen on it are Kyle Hodgett's gambling games. But this does take a long time to boot and is running at a fraction. It's running at 23% speed because there's no ARM recompiler. Yeah. It's a different approach for that. I mean, some MAME cabs I saw back in the day used highscore.dat to sort of inject credits. They'd abuse that. Pardon me. But this one, yeah, I think this is creating some save states. And the main builds of the period didn't have save states, so again, that's why I don't think it's a pure MAME bootleg. I think they've added stuff around the cores, or the binary analysis that we were given back in the day is incorrect and it's not MAME at all. So this might not be MAME in MAME, but it's very difficult to really know with some of these things. It's not as obvious as, say, the .mu bundles where it was very clearly MAME because there were still strings from MAME left in. Right. That they they didn't have the save states and had to boot the first time. I can't remember if this has been flipped the right way up so that Scramble works properly, because one of the issues with these seems to be that if the flip screen is enabled, Scramble has broken bullets. They're not great. They're not great at all. 22. And also, people go crazy for these. But every time you power them on, as far as I know, they have to do this system initialization because it's putting stuff in RAM. And yeah, at 4 times the speed, it would be a bit faster, but it's still a long time to boot. And, the same people that are saying these things are amazing are the people that apparently can't stand to press an extra key booting up MAME to get rid of a message that says there's imperfect emulation. But these are amazing. I don't know. These aren't amazing, by the way. They're terrible. The sound is awful. The title screen's all hacked out without the credits. They're just bad. Donkey Kong looks like Donkey Kong was emulated in sort of 1997. But yeah, they're from about 2004. And it will eventually boot to menu. With an ARM recompiler, this might hit full speed, but we don't have an ARM recompiler at the moment. Yeah. Okay, we're almost there. And this is definitely going to be the last thing on the stream because we're approaching 2 hours now. So it's not MAME and MAME, possibly, maybe, but it's the closest you're going to get because I can't boot, say, the Great Game Crystal. I don't have a PC driver set up with MAME installed on a DOS PC. But there we go. Game never over, and because it's running at 25% speed, the sound is just bad. There you go. I can coin it up. I can choose a game. In fact, I'm going to turn the sound down because it sounds that bad. So yeah, it's got lots of games to pick. Well, it's got 39 games to pick, hasn't it? Should I just go backwards? Well, you can go backwards across the pages. Look, you get to that one. Scramble and Pinball Action of all things. Mooncrester, Deuce Castle, Arkanoid. It's yeah, these are really bad boards. I mean, if you play Gyrus on one of these, you're never going to want to play Gyrus again. It sounds that bad. And they're also quite heavily protected, which is why that 16-1 doesn't work. But let's put Donkey Kong on. See, it boots up with credit. It created the save state on startup. There you go. It doesn't look great. I've done a few a few console games on the stream before. In fact, I did have a few in the list tonight, but I've not got around to them. I was going to possibly play the PC Engine Magical Chase, the Master System game, or maybe the Mega Drive Marble Madness versions, because I played the Peckham Towns one the other day. These things were everywhere. They were like a plague. I mean, these are the ones that Namco eventually took action over some US distributors over because they were that bad. I mean, these days you've got an even worse problem with the sort of the Pandora's boxes, but these are sort of what came before them, and you still see these around today. There's still lots of places installing these, and yeah, they're bad, and they're bootlegs, and it's a shame to see them displacing where real arcade should be. Because you want to go if somewhere's got an arcade machine, you really want it to be an authentic one, not one of these things. But operators thought they were cheap. The main thing I remember seeing people play on these, I'm not sure it's on the 39-in-1, is Shannon's Road. That seemed to be really popular on them. Here we go. So I don't think the sound is properly emulated, even if it was full speed. It's a bit nothing. It's clearly not responding in terms of sounds to what's going on in on the screen. But with it running this slow, who knows? Anyway, this is slow motion Donkey Kong running in an emulator, running on ARM hardware. It's see some of the machines I saw with this in were also branded as MAME. Now they have the MAME marquee and everything else, which is kind of also a bit odd if they're not MAME. But again, they're multi-arcade games, and I've seen them sold as multi-cades, I've seen them sold as MAME, I've seen them sold as Game Not Over, which is on the title screen. There's loads of people still building cabinets and putting these in them and selling them like they're some official licensed product, and it's just a mess. But anyway, I don't think we need to see more of that in slow motion, do we? Yeah, sound is terrible. I don't think anything's missing it entirely, but it's ear grating, it's bad, it's yeah, as you say, Mick, they're everywhere and they're terrible. The Pandora's boxes are even worse in terms of being everywhere these days. Unfortunately, it is quite a lucrative business, isn't it? But yeah, so we will end on that because we're at the 2 hour mark now, and I'm not doing until like 1 a.m. So anyway, dear. I mean, I don't know. We don't really know for sure what Billy used. Just it clearly isn't the original board, because the original board couldn't show what was shown on his streams. It could be some dodgy bootleg, but unless he actually comes forward and says this is what I used, then we won't know. Just that it's not original board. It's possible he doesn't even know himself. I mean, if other people are doing the tech for him, maybe as far as he is concerned, he was using original hardware. But the evidence does suggest otherwise for those videos, doesn't it? Anyway, so with that, I will end the stream. Thank you to everybody who's joined in and been chatting, and everybody who's been watching and not saying anything, and everybody who's watching on catch up as usual. There are enough M games for another M stream if I want to squeeze one in before the end of the month, but I don't know if I will or I won't. I mean, there's some of them that are really, bottom of the barrel things. Merry Circus, gambling games and the like. But then there's like Neo Mr. Do, which I'm going to count because it's a Mr. Do game. Mr. Do Run apparently I've not done yet. Miss Pacman, the original, I don't think I've done. Mutation Nation. So yeah, I could probably get another quick stream out of this another day if I wanted to, and I might do. So anyway, say thank you. Thank you, Valgrind and Bob and everybody, Casper, Kwon however you pronounce that, Big Winner, Mess Drivers, Mick, and Main Fan if you're still watching, and probably Santeri, who's left a while ago. Again, always good to see Santeri. Cow, there's been quite a lot of things. Jez Jukes, who was on earlier. William Rubber, who dropped a comment or two about Sexy Parodius. There's been quite a few people chatting. Christian was here. So it's always good to see. Mitchell was here earlier. Yeah, so it's been reasonably busy. I guess there's probably been a few more of the US audience this time, or at least the non-UK audience, because I think the UK people are probably in bed at this point, likewise Europe. But yeah, I will catch you all at another time. With that, I'm going to end this one, so bye.